when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone.
The early 1960s were a time of major transformations in the United States. The entire fabric of American society began to unravel in the turmoil of the 1960s. With the civil rights movement in full stride, the assassinations of many beloved and charismatic Americans such as Martin Luther King Jr. and President Kennedy, and war movements in full stride, change was in the air.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting. Stay tuned to CBS News for further details.
This feeling of change was also experienced in the rural town of Osgood, Indiana. The creation of Jacksonville Junior-Senior High School was groundbreaking for the residents of the northwestern part of Ripley County. The proud athletic and academic tradition that Jacksonville has accumulated over the years took root in 1961 with the opening of the new school building.
First thing that happened to us was when we joined the Delaware Jackson, which was the Napoleon School, with the Osgood School. And of course, that happened in the middle of the year. And so the Jacksonville wasn't ready till in December. So starting in January is when we become Jacksonville as a single high school and grade school, starting with the 7th grade. We still had 1 to 6 at Napoleon and 1 to 6 at Osgood.
So I was a student when they opened the building, and so I was a freshman that year. We took all of our things home before Christmas from the Osgood High School, and after Christmas we went to the new school and moved in, and it was very exciting. And I can still remember where my locker was. I can still remember the combination to the locker, because everything is just imprinted on your brain. It was such an exciting time. We had heard from the sources that the Napoleon and Delaware boys were big tough guys and they were going to beat us up. And the funny thing was, after we got to know each other and a few years went by, we'd heard that they had heard the same thing about us. Yeah. Well, we knew we weren't tough guys, so it wasn't anything to worry about there for them. But our teachers, we had great teachers, and they took such a part in including us in all that was done. I don't think we got to pick the name Jacksonville because it was probably already chosen. But we got to vote on the school colors, the school mascot, the school song. And I think the teachers had a lot of influence on what we were voting on. But yeah, we felt like we were a part of it. We got to vote. And just so many new things. I guess that's the biggest thing that I remember as a student there. And that was in 1961. And I graduated in 1964. So we were like the first class that were freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
The second thing that happened was when a guy by the name of Dave Porter, who was a coach that came from Westport, and he loved basketball. He was a good basketball coach, and he was able to coach teams that got us clear up to one game that we were in the finals, semifinals in the Butler Fieldhouse. And for several years, our school, Jacksonville, was the envy of every other school. They wished they could do that.
One thing was the basketball program that was a memorable part of that, because that was the big thing in those days, and it still is now, but back then it was about all we had was basketball. I was a fan of basketball, and Mr. Porter came about our second year, I think, in the building, and he was so exciting. that we were just really taken by him as far as what we could do. He told us we could win. He told us we were going to win. And you know what happened? About the time my class graduated, we started to win.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and
Hello, this morning I'm with some nice young people from Jacksonville, and my name is David Porter. I came to Jacksonville in the first year of its being as the head basketball coach and athletic director, and stayed for 20 years. We had many things that were good that happened at Jacksonville, and the students were those that took part, and we wanted them to take part. Our pep stations were always full of a lot of interesting things, and I tried to do things that would inspire or make the students feel more a part of our team, and I think they did. I always took an active part in the pep sessions, and always ended each pep session with a favorite yell that I had, and they seemed to take part in that pretty well. And my philosophy about basketball is it is the greatest team game that there is. While being at IU, I don't want to ramble here, but while being at IU, I had the teaching of a great coach, Branch McCracken, who became a very dear friend of Mary and ours, and came from there to at that time, Sand Creek. Stayed there 7 years, and during that time we had meetings of coaches and so forth, and I met Sherman Lemon and Charlie Miller. They were always at the meeting, and I wasn't. They began to talk to me about perhaps when they consolidated and got the building built, that maybe I'd be interested in coming down there. And that's the way it worked out. And I remember the first day I walked into the gym, I believe the students had been there the semester before. Now you may correct me on this, but I think they more or less moved in during the Christmas holidays. They were showing me the school and the gym and so forth, and where my office would be. And I remember Sherman Lemon, the superintendent, took me there, and we went through the school, and I liked what I saw, and I liked the administration at that time. And so we got together, and I signed the contract as varsity basketball coach and athletic director.
I came in 1961 in the fall, so I just missed one semester. And then I retired in 1988. And there was no, it was the entire time at Jacksonville. When I came, Mary Roberts had decided she wanted to teach biology. So that left home ec open, and I took the job teaching home ec. But I told Mr. Lemon when he asked me that I would not teach unless I had at least some history, because history was my first major. And that's what I was teaching at Greensburg when I came back to Jacksonville. So I taught world history, and that's where I had Mr. Tholen in common.
You caught me thinking. I'm thinking that there's a 50-year celebration coming, and I've been here 44 out of those 50 years. That's just amazing. I remember when I was a junior high student, my first year here, this was a brick wall. This was the end of the school building, and we thought the school building was big. I even got lost in this building. Okay, where is that biology room? Let's see. I'm just a seventh grader here, and I'm lost in this huge hallway. Sir, could you help me? I need to find the biology room. Where's the is it that way or is it that way? It's hard to believe. And then in 1972, they added the boardroom, they added a superintendent's office, the superintendent's secretary, and there were 3 classrooms on this side, and then the building, the original building ended here, and they added a big classroom here. That big classroom was originally for special education. It was turned into a robotics laboratory. It was turned into a high school computer laboratory, and then finally into a Project Lead the Way workroom and computer lab. It's amazing what has happened in 50 years. I can't hardly get over it. I think this is a great project. I just can't get over how many changes have been made.
Have the best memories of Jacksonville, working with Mr. Miller, Charlie, and then at lunchtime, why, there was always, great big lot of just fun at the lunch table. And if you knew for sure that somebody liked something particularly well, in basketball or whatever, why, you would spend all your time writing them about what they liked or didn't like. And usually at lunch, the ones I ate with there at last for the last several years would have been Mr. Westerman and Mr. Whaley and Deidre Montgomery and always Mr. Ward. And of course everything with John was always Notre Dame this, Notre Dame that, Notre Dame something else. So if they happened to lose by a point or two, he never heard the last of it, And of course, these would have been the night years in Indiana. And he had some pretty good ones, you remember. And some of us were big-time night fans. And of course, if they happened to get beat, we never heard the end of it. So, it was just kind of fun. And of course, we were all Rabbit Eagle fans. And I think I sewed up all of the uniforms that's possible to sew up at Jacksonville for 30 years after school at night. When the kids were gone, here'd come all of the uniforms in and vulcanize these, so I had to sew them up. Baseball as well. Those were most of the uniforms that I had to sew. The fact that the kids all stood up when I retired, that's memorable. Just felt overwhelmed because you figured that they'd be happy to see you go rather than to feel that you were at least liked a little.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bully, bully. Mighty told Hattie, let's don't take no chance. Let's not be on seven. Come and learn to dance. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Watch it now, watch it, watch it, watch it.
The 1970s were a period of great advancement for the United States. Bill Gates introduced Microsoft and the personal computer, and Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts on working with the poor of India. However, events such as the Watergate scandal, hyperinflation, and the death of Elvis Presley also occurred during this decade. Jacksonville continued to thrive in its own ways.
Good evening. Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently it was a heart attack.
In 1972, 3 new classrooms were added to the north side of the existing high school building. The yearbook was started in 1976, pep sessions became popular in 1977, and in 1978 the Lady Eagles had a successful basketball season, finishing as state runner-up with point guard Rita Foster leading the way.
I remember you asking me what some of my activities were in school. As I think back, I remember that there was Future Teachers of America, there was FFA, there was no National Honor Society. There were just very few activities compared to today. There was no academic teams. So a lot of my time, since I wasn't in sports, I concentrated on going home and farming, and I had motorcycles, and I enjoyed working on antique engines. We had a 40th reunion not too long ago. Mine was the class of '68, so in 2008 we had the 40th reunion. And I told my wife that we'd be there till maybe 6:30. After, you know, we ate, we'd leave. Well, we got to talking about old times. We left at 9:30. So a lot of great memories. A lot of great memories here at Jacksonville.
Clear creeks and cool mountain mornings, honest work out in the field, cornbread in my mama's kitchen, daddy saying grace before the meal.
My first memory goes back 2-3 years before we actually moved into this building, when Napoleon and Osgood decided to consolidate. And back then, Napoleon and Osgood were rivals, about like Jacksonville and South Ripley today, I'd say. The reason I kind of had some first-hand knowledge back then, the township trustees and advisory board acted more or less as a school board. They hired the teachers and made a lot of decisions in regards to school. My dad was on the advisory board, so I kind of knew early what was going on. There was a lot of controversy over whether Jacksonville or whether Napoleon and Osgood should consolidate to form Jacksonville. And you had a lot of rivalry between the two schools. A lot of people said it would never work. Students would never get along together. But as I remember, after we moved into the building, that wasn't a problem at all. The problem was more with some of the parents that, in the community that had some ill feelings, I guess, over the consolidation. Of course, Osgood wanted the school in Osgood, Napoleon wanted the school in Napoleon. And so they came up with the idea that they would put it out close to Phoenix Church, halfway in between, until they got to looking at the actual construction and what it would involve to run water and the sewage system out there, which is too costly. And so eventually they decided where we presently are as a location.
Family ties run deep in this land, and I'm never very...
kind of interesting how the Jacksonville name came about. I don't know if it was a local newspaper or I can't remember exactly who, but they had a little contest to come up with the name of the new school. And one of my neighbors came up with Jacksonville. It's Jackson Center and Delaware Townships. Jackson and Delaware made up Napoleon, and Center Township plus Town of Osgood made up Osgood School. And so the neighbor came up and said, let's just use the first 3 letters of each township involved. Today we got Jacksonville, Jackson Center, Delaware.
Far from what I am, I was born country.
I've got, I don't know, 37 or 38 years of teaching here in Jacksonville.
This moment in the back of my mind.
Well, I always have to say the students and the teachers. There have been some really great moments with students, and I've met some really great people. I think that when I started teaching, I was very, very fortunate to have Mr. Miller as my first principal. And he was an amazing man to work for. I also, since I always worked in the junior high, at that time we had what was called a junior high coordinator, and his name was Alan Clarkson. He was a big, burly man, about my dad's age. I always looked up to Mr. Miller and Mr. Clarkson like my dad, but they took me under their wing and they really helped me out, and those two men were very influential. And then, of course, the students. You know, I've had some rowdy students, I've had some great students, but there have been a lot. And what's really nice is that many of them still remember me and talk to me, and that means a
I came back to Jacksonville. The first year I taught at Batesville when I first got out of college, and then I came back and started teaching then after my son was born, and I've been here ever since. I'm a local girl. I'm a Jacksonville girl.
Oh, Mama, dear, we're not the fortunate ones.
Probably the biggest event was the building of the new elementary school back in 1990. It was something that was opposed by a lot of people for a long time, but it finally was built, and we greatly appreciate this beautiful building that we have now.
We can try to understand and do your time, so there's no man.
The 80s were full of acronyms. CD, PC, and MTV are all innovations that many modern Americans could not live without. This decade began with the election of a new president, Ronald Reagan, who impacted the lives of Americans in legendary and enduring ways. Due to his efforts, the Berlin Wall came crashing down, symbolically ending the Soviet Union's sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. While these successes ushered in a new dawn in the world, America suffered a bitter heartbreak when the Challenger space shuttle claimed the lives of 7 noble American astronauts, including that of teacher Christy McAuliffe.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Now control. Challenger now at 104%.
Challenger, go with throttle up.
Challenger, go with throttle up. 1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Innovation was also progressing with the introduction of the first digital cell phone in 1988. American innovation and freedom continued to thrive. At Jacksonville, many events were taking place as well. Donkeys invaded classrooms in support of donkey basketball. Jacksonville also became an international mecca as many exchange students came from Latin American countries such as Guatemala, Brazil, Colombia, and Chile. The athletic teams continue to carry the traditions of the school with various championships at different levels, topped off with the school's first state champion.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real.
It's my 24th year here at Jacksonville.
This year's 38 years.
I graduated from Jacksonville. I attended school here all 12 years. I came back here because my husband is a pharmacist and we own the drugstore here in this town, and that's why we moved back.
I want to stay close to home, and I had subbed here after I graduated in November of '72, and I wanted to stay around here, and I had subbed that second semester, and they asked me to stay on, so I did.
It's my home. I live here. This has always been home. I've known the people, the students, the parents for a lot of years.
I like the community, I like the children, I like the staff. We're just like a family here, and so it's a wonderful place to work.
Oh yes, I love my work here at Jacksonville. I love working with the students.
I do, very much so.
The people that work here, the students that are here in this building, the community itself, it's a great place to work. The camaraderie among the teachers, being able to talk back and forth as to, you know, what's good for students and what did they do last year for a student, or, you know, giving other teachers, you know, advice as to what to do. I think it's a great place.
I think the smallness of it is a good thing, and the way that we are a family and everybody cares and about each other and tries to make each person the best one that they can be. I think that's really fortunate that we are able to do that.
I came to Jacksonville back in 1985, school year. I was a mathematics teacher at that time, and he basically held that position until I moved into administration. I was well accepted here. I moved right in. I had a very good friend on the staff at that time, was John Ward, who was the assistant principal and athletic director, and then became the principal. So my fondest memory of Jacksonville was working with the people there.
I can remember when they first built the elementary school over here across the parking lot, and they've done several renovations here at the high school. We've gone from paper, pencil, chalkboard to whiteboards and the internet. I remember we had the first Apple IIe computers. That was really a big item at the time, but today you won't find them out here at the school anywhere. So yes, we've made significant changes, and we'll continue to make changes as we need to improve the quality of education for our students. Jacksonville community is really a nice place to be. It's a nice place to raise a family. The school system is what I consider to be one of the better school systems in this part of the state, if not the entire state. We're small. Teachers get to know the students get to know the teachers, and it's just like we're one big happy family. And who'd want to leave your family?
First, as a student, I went to school here my entire school years, 13 years with counting kindergarten, and now this is my 27th year as a teacher here at Jackson. I was in high school. I was involved 1 year in cross country, 4 years of golf, 4 years of basketball, 4 years of baseball, and 4 years of track. Since the beginning of my teaching career, Jacksonville has added some sports. They've added soccer at the high school and junior high level. They've also added girls golf. And so there are a few more offerings.
Walking in the doors in junior high in the 7th grade, and looking around, seeing everything looking so much bigger than it did in elementary school. Walking around, seeing all the teenagers you had to deal with all of a sudden. And the teachers were very nice. This is where I decided my career decision. I decided to be a teacher because of what teachers here did for me. And the idea that I could probably try to repay that and do that for some students some other time, some other generation. Really was the reason I got into education.
I was able to speak to the superintendent and to the school board and ask them to restart the senior class trip to go to Washington, D.C., which had been suspended for several years for a variety of reasons, which really isn't necessary to go into. And so on a probationary basis, they let us go on a one-day trip, and we flew. And we did that 6 or 7 years, and now I understand it's gone to bigger and better things, which it did when I was there. So I thought that was such a unique learning experience. It's something that when you talk about things and you're a government teacher and you talk about the nation's capital, the White House, the Supreme Court, you see a picture in a book, but when you walk through the rotunda of the United States Capitol, that's pretty neat. So that was a very significant. Full day kindergarten was important. Extended day child care, dual credits, offering new programs. As an educator, those are significant things to me.
The 1990s started on a high soprano note and ended on a low baritone. The Symphony of American Voices was continuing onto the new millennium. The war spread throughout the world as the Cold War came to an end, and freedom triumphed once again. Also, the internet revolutionized communications as we know it, making a groundbreaking impact on the future. Going hand in hand with these triumphs was the tragic death of the beloved Princess Diana and the obscure scandal caused by the impeachment of President Bill Clinton to close out the disastrous decade. Meanwhile, Jacksonville was experiencing a whirlwind of brilliance. The sports teams continued to thrive, with the varsity volleyball team winning the ORVC title for the first time, and Kurt Kummer being awarded the honor of playing in the Indiana All-Stars basketball team. There was also some fun going on in 1995 when the Harlem Globetrotters put on an unforgettable show. But the most groundbreaking event of the 1990s was the dedication of the elementary school, starting its tradition of academic excellence.
My name is Ernie Rubel, and I am finishing my 22nd year here at Jacksonville. I came to Jacksonville in 1989, December of 1989. I was hired by Mr. John Ward and Mr. Steve Dukins to teach social studies. And I currently teach college and university history through Vincennes University. I teach 7th grade geography. Freshman geography, history of the world. I have taught government, I've taught economics, I've taught sociology, and I teach some of our students online.
I was in the 8th grade at Napoleon and school, and Jacksonville was being built. And at the Christmas break, well, we took a couple extra days off from school, and they moved all the equipment and things to the new school. And when we came back from Christmas break, well, it was Jacksonville and not Napoleon or Osgood. And then I graduated from Jacksonville.
Oh man, we were living, going crazy in the kitchen.
We had a cactus plant sitting in our kitchen window for several months. All of a sudden, this here cactus plant disappeared, and it was 2 or 3 days, and never knowed where it went. And finally, one morning when I came to work, there was a little note under the door. It said, if you would like your cactus plant back, you should leave 3 chocolate chip cookies in a certain locker. So we did that. We took these 3 chocolate chip cookies and put them in the locker, remember whatever they had said. Still a couple days, we didn't get our cactus plant back. And finally, was working. There was another note under the door. They said, if you'd like your cactus plant back, your cookies were so good, we would like 6 this time. So we took 6 and put them down in this locker that they told us to put it in. And the next day, the cactus plant came back. It was sitting in the window. That was one of the memories I can remember.
Going through my closet the other day, I found an old yearbook, flipped right to the page.
Naturally, the girls being state runner-up in the basketball business in 1978. And my daughter Kim played on the team. And like I said, it was a great year and a lot of fun.
And a whole lot of memories to make.
And I remember the closing in 1978. We missed 21 days of school that year. I can remember that very easily. And when we did go back to school, I remember the snow was piled higher than the school buses, and there was one-way traffic to get there, and if you was meeting somebody, somebody had to find a place to get to. And I can remember the following year that we missed 14 days, and it wasn't quite as deep then like it was in the 78.
Clear Creek.
And that's what I'll always be, like the rivers and the woodlands, wild and free.
Well, I guess if I had to pick one, it would be health teacher had class in my room during my prep period, or I guess I was down in the science wing teaching physics. And I came back up to my room at the end of the period, and a student had gone to sleep in the teacher's class in my room, and was still sitting at the desk with his head down on his desk. And the teacher asked me if, she said, should I wake him up? And I said, no, just let it go. And so bell rang for the next class to take up, and the student still didn't wake up. So I scooted my chair over along the wall where the clock was, took the clock down. This probably was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I set the clock up to like 1:30, put it back up on the wall. We went ahead and had class, and probably 15, 20 minutes into the class, the student woke up, and he looked over at the clock, he looked around, saw he was in a strange group of students, a strange class, and gathered his books and things up and started walking towards the door, and one of my students said, hey, you missed lunch. I guess to make sure that he looked at the clock. And so he walks on out in the hallway, and about 5 minutes later we saw him come up the hallway and stop at every room, looking in the room door to see, trying to find his class. So the health teacher said he didn't go to sleep anymore in class. So maybe it worked.
You know who I mean? No. Nope, okay. Well, we'll pass that one up then. Okay. How about Jacksonville? You ever hear of Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Okay. This is, whenever the teams win the state in basketball, for the next year, they put a flag of that school on the IHSAA building. Okay, this is the flag that was on that building, and they gave it to me, and you can tell I put the hats along with the medal that they gave the kids. They gave me one of them, and I put it here, okay?
The dawn of a new millennium. The eagles spread their wings and take flight.
I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my...
My greatest memory at Jacksonville is probably breaking the high jump record. I had jumped pretty close to it in the junior high, and then I just kept trying to get it, but it took me until my last year, so I was excited when it finally happened. I like that it's tiny and I'm related to half the people that were there. I really like that. You get to know people on a deeper level than you would, I think, if you had 300 people in your class.
Don't be mad if I cry. It just hurts so bad sometimes. 'Cause every day.
I remember one time that I made Mr. Snedeker the Madison, Mr. Meyer and I told him that we had been to his classroom and messed it up, and you know how he was with his classroom. Every little thing was in place, and if you moved something a half an inch, he knew that somebody had been there and bothered his room. So we were jokingly told him we'd been to his room and really messed it up, and he was going to be surprised when he got there. Well, we were playing a joke on him, and we thought he would probably think it was funny. Unfortunately, he didn't think it was funny. That's probably the maddest I've ever seen him be, and oh, he was furious. We were just playing a joke on him, but he didn't take it as a joke, so...
When I first met Sned, I was getting interviewed, and I was only going to be hired for like 2 weeks. And my resume was on top of the pile, so they called me in. And he said, "Oh, let's take a shot on him. You know, it's only going to be 2 weeks. If he's terrible, then, you know, we can get rid of him." But I ended up having to stay, so it's kind of neat. Sned got me my first job. He really kind of took me under his wing and showed me some ways of doing things, and he kind of had to set his boundaries. I didn't know about his obsessive compulsive disorder as much, and the first day I was trying to organize my desk, so I went into his desk and started looking around, see how he had things organized, and he flipped out, and I was like, "It's no big deal, I'm just looking to see what I have on the desk." Yeah, it was a big deal to him. Yeah, he's a great friend, you know, great friend to everybody. You know, everybody was a kid to Sned, and they were all his kids. And, you know, he didn't have any of his own, but if you think of how many kids that he's impacted through all his years of teaching, anybody that ever had him for a teacher can't say a bad word about him. You know, I was lucky. I got to know him, you know, as a teacher. I got to know him as a friend, you know, and I got to share some special moments with him that a lot of people didn't. And, you know, I'm very, very, very grateful of that. The thing, anybody that goes back and can look and tell a Sned story, you can't go and say anything that's bad. Everything's always happy and everything's always on a laugh. I mean, he lived life, and, you know, the saying, you know, pay it forward. He paid, I mean, absolutely everything forward, and he'd give anything for anybody. And he's a legend, you know, and that's kind of cool that the legend always live on.
Well, I think the most important job in transportation every day and any day is the safe transporting of the kids to and from school. That's always the most important thing, no matter what else is going on, you know, making sure the kids get to school safely, whether it's, you know, the first day of school when the weather's nice, or in the middle of winter when it's snow on the ground and ice and fog. And, you know, any time that kids are on the road, I mean, we always think of coming to and from school, but we transport people every day to sporting events, field trips. You know, just recently with the experience with the girls going, you know, to the semi-state, a lot of trips, a lot of buses in movement all the time.
Years ago, I ran for the school board and was fortunate to get elected, and I'm in my third term on the school board now and having a great time with it, and going to this new building area, and hopefully we're going to provide even better education for our students than we have in the past. Not just a building, but being able to provide some science rooms, and my big thing is that it looks like we're going to be able to provide almost a separate setting for the junior high, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Hi, my name is Bill Norwald. I'm the superintendent at Jacksonville. This is my 9th year at Jacksonville as their superintendent. Some of the more memorable things that I've been part of since coming to Jacksonville, obviously one of the things that sticks out in my mind on a positive note was the winning the state championship in basketball a few years ago, back in 2009.
With the basketball, they run it ahead to Hardesty. Hardesty kicks it back out to Sutton. Jacksonville starting to celebrate. And rightfully so. Took control in the fourth quarter.
I've been very pleased with the success of our academic competition teams. It was something that I felt needed to be started when I came here, and I think that's been very successful, and we've had some of our teams do well at the state level. Also, a few years ago, we studied looking at consolidation, and that was a memorable time while we worked through all of those issues. And as a result of that, we didn't consolidate, but we did end up doing a significant building project here at Jacksonville, which we're currently in the middle of. And I'm real excited about the opportunities that those new facilities are going to bring to our community and to our students.
I am a mountain, I am a tall tree, oh, I am a swift wind, sweeping the country. I am a river, down in the valley, oh, I am a vision, and I can see clearly. If anybody asks you who I am, just stand up tall, look them in the face and say, I'm that star up in the sky, I'm that mountain peak up high. Hey, I made it, I'm the world's greatest, and I'm that little bit of hope. When my back's against the ropes, I can feel it, I'm the world's greatest. The world's greatest, Joe. The world's greatest.
You know, whenever you have a project like this that looks back to your history, it serves as a structural stone that you can use to move forward. You learn from some things that were challenges and possibly mistakes, and try not to do those again. But you look at what you have done, and when you look in the past, it helps explain where you are and what your future might bring for you. So this will be a document that I think school leaders and students and parents will be looking at for years to come.
I'm Johnny Budd, principal at Jacksonville in my 9th year here. First 5 years as assistant principal, and now in my 4th year as the principal. I think Jacksonville has a lot to be proud of. I know in the 9 years that I've been here, there's a lot of rich tradition in a lot of areas. Prior to me coming here, the athletics over the years have been great, but I also have become really proud of the academic successes that we've had. We've gone several years where we've had Lilly Scholarship winners. We're sending our second academic team to state finals this year. So it's a lot of great accomplishments in the classroom and outside on the ball fields and on the basketball court. And it's been truly an exciting time to be at Jacksonville. And I think it brings a lot of pride to the community. An example of what I'm talking about is this project. Telling a 50-year history. We have several classes involved with this. Students are putting in so much time on their own, but when you give students engaging work, you get extraordinary effort and a final product. And part of that is this video that we're putting together, this documentary, that we can share within our own community to celebrate our successes and tell our history, but also we can send this out to local media outlets, people who have been very critical of public education, who have been critical of, say, small schools and trying to force consolidation. We can say, hey, look at us, we're a small school, and look what our kids are producing. In my 4th year as principal, it's been a very enjoyable time, and at the time when I came to Jacksonville, I obviously came here with Mr. Ratledge as principal, and he's the principal that hired me in as his assistant. And at that time, I really didn't know how long I would be at Jacksonville, but what I've come to, I guess, find out or learn about Jacksonville and what makes it so unique and so special is that it's truly a family atmosphere. I think it's a great place to raise families. Great place to attend schools. While all small schools are the center of their community, I feel it's even more so here at Jacksonville, and it doesn't take long to realize that. It's something that I want to be a part of, and obviously now being involved in the community and having a family living here, it's a place that I want to be at. And it's just unique in that it is truly a family atmosphere. Friends, family type setting where people take care of each other, and that's very important as we live our lives, and something that as you get older you put more and more value into those qualities.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. See, I was on the verge of breaking down. Sometimes silence can seem so loud. There are miracles in life I must achieve, but first I know it starts inside of me. Oh, if I can see it, then I can be it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly.